And we seem to be live. Good morning, everyone. Hello, guys. Can you hear me? If you can see us and hear us, just, who was that? That was Philipp. Just send us a heart in the chat. Would love to see that. Or a little bit of sun. That would also be nice, because here in Munich, the weather is just shitty. I really could barely get out of bed, but the thought of having this digital breakfast with you together really motivated me. So you can hear us, right? You can see us and hear us. Just give us a sign so that we can, we're on the safe side. Frank, you can hear me as well. The audience can hear us, hopefully. Yeah, Florin. Okay, right, cool. Right, I love the hearts and the fire. That's what I need this morning. All right, so welcome to the next FitTech Society webinar, the data series powered by Garmin. And today we have a really nice lineup of speakers who will introduce themselves in a minute. And we're going to be talking about data in the context of gyms, okay? We'll talk on that from different perspectives, and I think this is going to be a very nice, interesting discussion. I would love to learn more from you guys. As usual, if you want to ask any questions, please do use the tab Ask the Question. You can see that below the screen. Also feel free to upvote the questions from others if you really want to know the answer to that, and I will then integrate that in the moderation. Okay. If you're asking questions in this chat tab that you're writing right now, oh, thanks for the sun, Chris. I love this one. I will ignore that, okay? And I will be nice enough to say, please ask the question. There's the question tab, because that's where my attention will be. All right, so guys, welcome. Let's start with a short round of introductions. Like, who is here on the panel? Frank, you're from Netherlands. And would you like to start and just tell us briefly who you are and what you do?
Sure. So, as you said, my name is Frank van der Ven. I am from the Netherlands. I'm working with LifeFitness now for 26 plus years, in the industry for 30 plus years. I'm responsible within LifeFitness, so I'm the Vice President for International, which is Europe, Middle East, Africa, and Asia. And let me start with a nice statement. A couple of years back, I went into a bar and I saw this nice sign. And the sign was saying, "In God we trust, the rest pays cash." For today's session, I would say, in God we trust, all others brings data.
That's a very nice statement. I guess we just have to type it down immediately. That's a nice motto. Thanks, Frank. Philipp, how about yourself?
Yeah.
Do you happen to have another tab open with Crowdcast?
Now it should be working. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so my name is Philipp. I'm responsible for the IT and business intelligence department from the LifeFit group. I started in the fitness sector, and at Fitness First in 2016 to develop the data warehouse, which is basically now the foundation of all our data processes. And since we are the LifeFit group, we get a lot of new information and of course get new data to process, which we try to automate, which we of course try to use in our products. And I know the comment Frank was saying, or the text, it's from Edward Deming, I guess, and I have a similar one. It's if you don't have the data, you are just another person with an opinion. So that's my topic for today.
Oh, that's a great topic. We'll expand on that later. Chrissy, welcome from
Garmin.
Yes, Garmin, yes, and London.
Yes, I'm based in the UK, in Southampton. I'm the product manager, EMEA product manager for our fitness products for Garmin International. So kind of all of our wearables that most of you probably have seen or know. So things like our Forerunner range and our kind of Viva Active and Venue products, as well as all kind of our bike computers and bike products. So yeah, quite a broad spectrum, but yeah, exciting.
Yeah, very cool. So welcome, three of you. We have great perspectives from the gym, from the equipment manufacturer, and from the wearable manufacturer. So let's just jump into it. And I think the first question I would like to ask you is, how do you guys define data from your standpoint, from your business perspective?
Could you be a bit more specific, Natalia, on your question?
Yeah, I think this is very broad. What I mean is, you guys collect different kinds of data. You have access to different kinds of data. Which one of that is most important for you from your business perspective?
Yeah, sure. We did a lot of research, and the amount of data where we started with was just growing and growing. So there are all different elements in the data, correct? So at a point we looked at it, and you get such an enormous amount of data where you say, oh, it's very difficult now to make the right business decision. So at a point we said, okay, so you have leading indicator data and lagging data. And so what we said is, okay, let's develop a dashboard, very simple dashboard that has a few key data elements in it. One is the financials, the other one is about customers, and the other one is about talent, people in our organization. So we have a high-level dashboard that we are looking at on a regular basis, and then if there are deviations into it, then we can drill down further into it. But it really starts, because otherwise you get, in nowadays world, there is so much data available that it's very difficult. If you look at all that data, what is the right data? How do you transform that data into information? How do you transform information into insights to make the right business decisions? So we first made it more and more and more complex, and then we started to simplify it back into a few key data that tells us the state of the business.
Yeah, that sounds perfect. We'll dive into that later. Philipp, how about yourself? What kind of data are you guys collecting with your data warehouse, which has been around since 2016?
Basically, we have different sources of transactional data. This is the big pool where you have to aggregate everything off. And we do it similar to Frank there. So we kind of have like this transactional data, which is, of course, always part of the automated process behind, of course, a customer journey and, of course, internal administrative processes. But we also have our analysis side where we try to cluster information, get some more details of our marketing personas, for example, and of course, reinvent our customer journey and our digital experience for the customers to improve us every time we use this data.
Okay, Chrissy, how about yourself? You are specifically not working like with gym-related data, but you guys collect lots of data with your wearables. Tell us a little bit more about that to get started.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously anyone that wears one of our devices connects to Garmin Connect, which is kind of the app platform that they would look at all their own personal data. And we look at that from a kind of in the back end just to see how our product's being used. Because if we probably got 10 different devices or 10 different product ranges that can tell you how far, how fast and where you've been on a run or in a gym or whatever that kind of might be. But the audience for those different kind of product ranges is completely different. So we kind of use a lot of that data to help justify kind of what we're doing and how we're developing products and making sure that we're developing the right features for specific product audiences. So our kind of Vivo Active customer, for example, uses a product completely differently to our Forerunner customer, even though actually a lot of what the product does is very similar. So we do use that data an awful lot to kind of justify some of our product decisions and kind of our development decisions that go into how we use a product, and also then how we market the product out to kind of end consumers to make sure they're getting the right product for them.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. So guys, our topic for today is new data-driven revenues for gyms. But maybe we could start with the status quo, with the state of the art, before we start speaking about new data-driven revenues. How are actually gyms using data today to drive their revenues? Do you have any insights on that?
Yeah, I would say, and Philipp is the exception here. But I would say in general, it's pretty limited. It seems that most gyms are using the same data, the same reports to generate the same metrics, and then expect to differentiate from competition. I think a lot of the operators tend to use the reports that they get from their software provider. And, in general, and I think to Philipp's point where we mentioned earlier on all the things they are tracking, it's going back to your business model. What is the story that you want to create? What is the customer or the member experience that you want to create? What are the touch points? And collecting data around those elements. I think that is key. But a lot of operators don't have that insight or don't even have the data. They just use the data from their software provider, which is pretty generic.
And which data is that, for example?
Members coming in, so how many members they have, how many people are leaving the gym. They have financial data. So it's pretty basic, I would say. Mm.
So this is the kind of data where we know what's happening in a way, but we don't know why, and we don't know what to do about that.
Yeah, agree. And I still believe, in order to, in today's market where competition is getting more fierce, it's really important to constantly innovate and think about, okay, what kind of business model will work? How do we differentiate from competition? And how can I use data to test the assumptions that we make on approaching new business models?
Mm. So, Philipp, you seem to be doing lots of things with data, and luckily enough, you're both head of business intelligence and IT at LifeFit Group, which means you can, create your own data pools to make business decisions. Could you tell us of some specific examples where you say these are kind of the basics that every gyms need to be able to do, and then we'll dive into more sophisticated things?
Yeah. I totally agree on Frank that most of the time only standard reporting is used, and that's pretty much like an incoming and outgoing list, which you get created from your membership management software, for example. But I guess what was a big thing for us is to connect our membership management data, of course, with the confirmation of the member with our CRM system, which is as well offline as online. And that is also the reason why Body Media rated us 2019 for the best online marketing company in the fitness sector. So we are trying to focus on personalization of the website, of course, personalization of our app, which will be coming this end of the year. And of course, we add data more and more to this whole system to get, of course, more insights about our customers. What is the reason they leave, for example, one brand and or another brand inside the LifeFit group? Because our key focus, of course, is never lose a customer. And now we have 8 brands where we can offer different models, different fitness models, different solutions for training, for example. And if you know what the customer wants to do, for example, then the next day or the next 10 days, if you kind of use predictive analysis to that, you can offer them, hey, simply move to, for example, the Gym Society, because maybe you need a very cool introduction to the whole fitness thing if you don't have a clue what you are doing. And
so what you're saying, Philipp, is that you guys have several brands, which not all gyms do. And you can kind of offer cross-selling opportunities. If you see that somebody, for example, is part of the Fitness First yoga courses, or maybe like more intense courses, you could try to correlate that with different brands where they will be more happy, maybe. Is that right?
Of course. I guess it's so we want our customers to reach the best they can be. So if you're trying, for example, HIIT classes or so high intensity training classes at Fitness First or at other brands, we of course will offer you, if you accept that, berries, for example, and generate maybe revenues there.
But that means when we're speaking about the basics, right, which every normal gym and operator can do, what you're saying is that, first of all, make sure that you connect like the web data and the offline data. Is that right?
I guess what every operator should focus on is integrating their data. From my point of view, most of them use Google Analytics, most of them will use the membership management software, and they have basically two types of reporting, the offline and the online reporting. And the knowledge about your customer or about your company lies in the integration and the connect of these data. If you reach that, and you can reach that even if you are a small operator, you get pretty much far in the data-driven modeling or analysis, for example.
Could I make a comment on that? Because a huge compliment to LifeFit. I know Martin Siebold already for years. We go back way a long time. And he's one of the visionaries in the industry, in my view. But, you know, I was Googling Philipp a few days ago when I heard that Philipp would join this panel. And his title is Head of IT and BI. And I can tell you, you can count on one hand the amount of operators that will have a head of BI in their organization. You know, most operators don't even have a BI head, let alone nobody who's really looking at the data. Where LifeFit is, as Philipp explained, there's so much data already available. But it's, you know, how do you analyze the data? What are the right questions to ask to go after the data? That's hardly existing in our industry. There's a lot of stuff, all that stuff, and we need to translate it into insight. But you need persons like Philipp in operations, and that could be in-house or outsourced. But you know, a big compliment to LifeFit because they are changing the way our industry should be looking and further elevating the performance of the industry.
Yeah, thanks, Frank. Philipp, big compliment to you. So we're talking about different kinds of data here. We're talking about data which is more on the member tracking side, you know, when they come, when they go, blah, 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 why they leave. We're talking about the data which is more on the marketing side, right? Which is like what kinds of ads are working, what kinds of ads don't lead to conversion. And we're also talking about biometric data and exercise data, which is where, for example, wearables like Garmin come in handy. Also, there's been some statistics that we discussed, Chrissy, with you before the webinar, that around 50% of Americans cancel their gyms by end of January, their gym memberships by end of January. I'm not sure if it's really way different in Europe. So, Chrissy, what do you think? How can like data from wearables, which can be possibly connected to the gym equipment, gym exercises, help to increase this retention?
I think the thing is with wearables, we track everything. So I think if you're going to a gym, you might go to gym 3-4 times a week for an hour, maybe an hour at a time, and you're seeing your data in that environment, but then you go and that's it. And there's no kind of nothing pushing you along to go again. Whereas with wellness kind of wearable data, you're wearing this device is 24/7. So not only are you seeing the progress over time, so if you are going to the gym a bit more, you're seeing how your fitness is improving, how your maybe resting heart rate is coming down, you're kind of tracking your recovery time and all of this kind of thing. So you're tracking everything 24/7. So I think you're getting a far more complete picture of your fitness, and as you do more, you're seeing the developments and the progress kind of quicker than maybe if you were just sitting in a gym and so kind of sat on its own almost. I think the other thing is we have these platforms like Garmin Connect, and there's others out there like Strava and various others where it's that motivation of others. So some people need that kind of community aspect to encourage them along. And if you're seeing your mates been in the gym that morning and you've not done anything all week, just that encouragement kind of gets you going and gets you kind of continuing and on your journey, whether that's in a gym environment or whether that's kind of at home fitness or going out for a run. I think being able to monitor all of it and being able to track it over time just really helps you do more, basically, and that will help you kind of encourage users to go to the gym more regularly and continue on their fitness journey.
Yeah, Chris, you just mentioned Garmin Connect. Could you just briefly explain what that is exactly?
Yes, Garmin Connect is our kind of online platform. So it's either web or app based, and it's where all of your data is saved. So you have your watch is recording all your kind of information, whether that's step, heart rate, kind of fitness activities. All of that gets sent through to your Garmin Connect mobile app, where you can see kind of today's data, how you've slept overnight, whether you need more recovery time. You can see what your friends are doing. You can go into challenges and kind of set yourself up motivational things like that. But also there's then the ability to, via APIs, to connect that data to third parties in like gym environments and other partners. So I know there's kind of a few situations out there where gyms, and I think LifeFitness have got one via FitTech Connect.
Yep.
Which one was that?
Yeah, we have an Halo platform, and what Chrissy was talking about was Fit Connect.
Okay.
So via Fit Connect,
how do you guys work together?
Yes, there's an API set up. So if you're and Frank can talk to this maybe in a bit more, but if you're a coach in a gym, you can see all of your kind of users' data 24/7, not just what they're doing in the gym environment. So you can get a better picture of everything they're doing, which means you can then coach them and guide them better to obviously hopefully get better results at the end of the day.
Luckily, can I come back to a comment that you made, because your opening sounded a bit harsh in my view, where you said,
oh my God, it
I
wasn't
was
my
reading
purpose.
some data that 50% of the members were quitting a gym. That was US data. I don't know if that's completely correct, but let's say people were leaving the gym due to COVID. I think what Chrissy was saying is spot on. Yesterday, I was reading an interesting article where it said technology is disrupting our industry. And the word disrupting sounds really strong. And the person in the article was saying, no, it's not disrupting, it's redefining. And what Chrissy's saying, which I fully agree on, is it's not either or, it's and. And we have a big assignment, all of us. If you look at the data lately on healthcare cost and how we are able to fund if people get ill, to make sure that there is a system in place that people can get better, that's not sustainable. So all of us have a big assignment to make sure that more people get more active more often by having online and offline platforms to make that happen. So I agree with Chrissy, it needs to be and versus either or.
Guys, I couldn't agree with you more. And we even have a question which is a perfect fit to this discussion. So the question is, how do you get the data like off the fitness equipment into wearables? Of course, we do have the gym kit by Apple Watch. Is there any other ways to do this? How do you see this? How we can combine both?
Yeah, so as Chrissy already said, we have a platform called Halo. We have Halo Standard, Halo Premium. And when we started, and we have been in this connected fitness industry already since I joined LifeFitness. We started partnering with IBM, Life Center at that time, and we have further developed. Mm-hmm. But what we really realize is you need to be open. One of the things that is extremely critical is there are suppliers that are completely closed. It's all about them, not about being open and about the member. And as Chrissy said, some people wear wearables, others don't. Some people like, if you look, for example, at what Apple launched with Apple Fitness Plus or Google Fit. So now there are so many players coming to our industry. So it is important, and I think also Philipp mentioned that you have it one place where you have all the data, because otherwise you need to go to this place for this data, that place for that data. But for example, if you are using Garmin and you collect data on your Garmin, and then you go to a gym and you would have data in the gym, but the two don't combine, you lose your data. And if you are a freak collecting all that data, you would miss 50% or 20% or whatever it is. So you're looking at the data think, oh, that's not true, because you want to have all the data in one spot. Yeah.
So how do we ensure that? Philipp, how would you do this, or how are you doing that?
We're doing that right now. We decided with the LifeFit group to redevelop a new app for our main brand, Fitness First. and this app will give us the opportunity to get access also to the wearable data. For example, there's a Garmin Connect inside the app, and there's of course a connection to Apple Health and some other things like MyFitnessPal and all that stuff. And maybe it's not all of the data we get from this APIs, but we hope that there is, of course, relevance in the data, and at least we can have some more checkpoints to provide a digital customer journey to our customers. And I guess this is also relevant for your question, which you are asked. If you don't integrate the members correctly, and this is at least since the 21st century, not only an offline integration, which is done by a personal trainer, it's also an online and an offline integration, which you have to do, because every other company, every other sector is constantly communicating with their members or with their customers, automated or by person or by chatbot, or for example, and you lose the connection if you only focus on the offline contact.
And did you, where is this app coming from? Did you develop it in-house, or did you kind of,
No, we used, we decided to develop this integration with our partner from the membership management software, and also eGym, which is owning the NetPulse app, or white label app provider, which is a white label app provider, and we decided to integrate their application to our membership management software to do like course booking, for example, or book childcare, and then we decided to pick, of course, the best things out of the app which are already developed. For example, the challenges and the bonus program where Garmin is also part of, and of course the Garmin Connecting.
Yeah.
And
So
Natalia,
yeah.
Natalia, what Philipp was saying is really important. I have seen operators, and really also big operators, thinking, oh, it's so important to have the data, and then they started developing their own app. One, their core competency is not being a software developer. Two, it will cost them, sorry for my English, but a shitload of money. And at the end, they will still find out, this is not our cup of tea. Let's look for options that are out there. And there are suppliers, as Philipp mentioned, but same with our options. There are white label solutions, because in the end, it's not about the LifeFitness app. It's about the LifeFit app, or whatever the name is of the operator. That is important, because I think Chrissy mentioned it. It's so important to create a community. The community is not a LifeFitness community. The community is a LifeFit community, or another name of the operator community. That's really key in this whole.
And people don't want to have to go to 10 different sites to look at their information. And I think if you've got small, yes, we've got our own site, but we understand that not everybody's going to want to come to Garmin Connect to see all of their information. Yes, they need to set up with Connect's app to start using their product, but they might prefer to use Strava as a cyclist, or they might prefer to use even Apple Health. So we kind of, yes, we have our app and all our data goes through that, but we also then have the APIs to go everywhere else, because not everyone's the same. Everyone wants to see their information in different places. And I think if you try to set up your own app, unless you've got multi-million, kind of tens of millions of customers, it's not really going to make you're not going to get that community aspect.
Yeah.
I think the two critical words here are personalization and customization. I think that those are the two critical words. It's not one size fits all. It's really sending out personalized, customized. So for a member, they want to see this kind of entertainment. It should not be one size fits all. How do you personalize messages? How do you personalize your interaction with your members? I think those are the important two keywords: personalization and customization. Yeah. And that is really important. And let people make their own choices. Don't dictate what they should be using. Let them make their choices. It's a free world.
It still is, at least for now. So, yes. Frank, I think these are two very good keywords: personalization, customization. but it's also kind of, buzzwords. So maybe you could just become more specific on that. And I would like to ask you, Philipp, how do you guys do this? So how do you really customize things and personalize them? Could you name us a couple of specific examples that you do?
First of all, which is pretty basic, is you can use your online platform, for example, your website, and buy personalization offers for this website as an add-on. So you say, if the customer accepts our cookie policies, then we collect the data of this customer, and if he re-enters the website, we bringing on content which he or she decided to see in the past. So there is more like an, hey, you see what you already looked for, and maybe this is an opportunity for you. Mm-hmm. This would be the basic setup. And then there is more the advanced setup. You connect this online data to your offline data, and then make a prediction. So you say, well, someone who's focusing on maybe the rowing bootcamp course of Fitness First is, of course, interested in HIIT products. So we present them on the online side, of course, HIIT products, and let them make the decision to look maybe for another course format, or basically move to another brand option which we can offer, and have, like, of course, like a training journey with or which we support.
And how do you work with connected equipment? I have a question from Steve, who is asking how you guys or how fitness clubs can leverage exercise data with connected equipment to create new revenue streams. What are the possibilities there?
I would not say create new revenue streams. I would say improve the old ones, because what we will be able, if we have the Garmin Connect, for example, or if we have the connection to our eGym circle at the Gym Society or other smart equipment, we can also present self-learning, for example, training plans, and provide the customer not a one-size-fits-all training plan, but a personalized and customized training plan, which he needs to improve. And that will lead to come in the gym more often, of course, and that improves your business model.
Mm-hmm. To add to what Philipp was saying, if you right now there's data that shows, okay, so many percentage of your members will use personal training. So if you can analyze how many percent of my members is using personal training, and you see in the industry it's like this number, and you see a gap of 4 or 5%, and you can start thinking through how can we increase the amount of members that do personal training. So using data in a smart way, looking at, and that can create new revenue streams as well. If you see that there is a lot of members that sign up on that are using a certain platform, where you say, oh, those are cyclists or more runners, mm-hmm. You can create a runners club or a cycling club that starts from your center versus doing something else. So I think there is a lot of opportunities or options that members could have based on data, but it starts with asking the right questions. A lot of people start thinking about the data, but it's starting about what are the questions that you want to ask? How do you innovate the model that you have today? And what are the areas? Then by asking the right questions, you can drill into the data, analyze that data, and then come up with new models that you could implement and test them. And that's how you can drive revenue streams.
How specific should these questions be? Are those the questions that, they're like kind of basic questions that every operator has to ask themselves? Or do you think it's totally operator specific?
I think the questions need to be specific in order to dive into data, because if I ask Philipp for a very generic question, he would ask me 5 different questions back before he will start analyzing the data. Because if I stay too high level, Philipp will say, okay, be more specific. So he will ask why, 25 times before he understands, okay, this is what you want to find out. And then he can use the data to find out exactly what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Or what I want to test, because it's not that I'm looking for. It could be a very open question. Would you agree, Philipp, on that?
I agree totally, but I would add another thing. You have to ask me the 25 why questions, because that is like the journey of business intelligence. If you want to ask the question, for example, what is the membership structure in Berlin, for example, for one specific brand? And then you say, okay, what kind of data would you like to cluster these members in? Is it only gender? Is it gender age? Is it where they're coming from? And you develop, and you then sometimes you are able to get these groups, these aggregated questions, and then you start to build up on that a predictive model. So, for example, if you say, well, my data shows me that, and this is just an example what I'm talking about right now, so don't use that productive. If you, for example, say, well, men's from Berlin using cycling classes, then we could try to implement a new cycling course, a new cycling format, and this would be a prediction, and say, well, these persons will use this format, and then you have a test. And if it's coming true, hey, you're good to go. And these are basically the question. The question is not, shall we build a new cycling format? The question is, what is the product the customer wants to use?
Yeah, I think this is a very good point that we are speaking about different kinds of segmentation of customers through the use of data. And we have a question by Maurizio, who is saying, hey, how could gyms actually cope with customers that are now used to train at home more than ever before? And I would add to that, used to train outdoors with their wearables more than ever before going to the gym. So how do you guys see this kind of interface, this kind of opportunity to talk to these customers who might even say, hey, I have my wearable, I'm fine to go, I don't need a gym anymore. Chrissy, how would you answer this question?
I think it's that's that API that we've obviously, like we've got with LifeFitness, is the coaches or the personal trainers in LifeFitness have all of that data now, so they can give a more personalized, customized training plan for everything that they do, whether that is their strength training in the gym, whether that's their activities that they're doing outside of the gym, whether it's running, cycling, kind of whatever. So I think there's still absolutely a place, and I think people will still go to the gym for that personalized content, because we can give you so much and we have so many plans, but it's not the same as going to a personalized trainer who can see your running form, or can see making sure that you're doing the activities or doing the right activities if you've got an injury or whatever that might be. So I think it's working together collaboratively, and I think if a personal trainer has all the information, they're in a far better place to give a better plan and a better training plan than if they've only got a small amount of it.
Can I add to so fully agree with what Chrissy was saying. Think about a person that with the Garmin wants to run every single day. The last thing an operator should do is discourage that. It's great to have somebody running every day outside. So now back to what we said earlier, how can you generate new income streams? Sometimes the weather is so crappy, or if there's snow, you could get injury. So this is, again, working outside versus and inside. So this combination. But also think about it. Maybe the person doesn't know everything about how nutrition could help the person perform better in his running. So you could maybe organize a clinic in your club to explain, okay, what is good nutrition for somebody who wants to run? So now you start looking, and this is maybe also to Philipp's point, maybe in Berlin you have a lot of runners where you can see, how can I still create that connection with the runners in Berlin, so you can still connect them with your club. The problem with club operators is always they think only within the four walls of their operation. They should think much broader. This is what I like when Chrissy was saying earlier on, a community. A community doesn't just live within four walls. How do you create that community? How do you connect that community? And how do you use that data to make sure that you can get memorable interactions, personalized, customized? And I think that is the solution for the future. It's, indoors, outdoors, at home, at the office, in the club, using the data to create better results.
Frank, I think this is very important what you're addressing. What I hear you saying is that clubs could also use the data, external data as well, data from external apps, external wearables, equipment, and so on and so forth, to offer more consulting and more personal consulting to the members, to become kind of their health hub where they can help you based on this use of data and guide you, right?
Yeah, fully agree, Natalie. It's already interesting how many operators that are listening in know which wearables their members have.
So if you guys are operators, listen in, just write that in the comments. We'd like to know that.
Oh dear.
Philip, do you know what wearables your members use?
We did the assumption that it's basically that we have the pros, which are using specific wearables for their needs. For example, like a golfer would use their golf smartwatch, the cyclists using their Garmin cycling watch, for example. And we have this more general users, which were, for example, using their Apple Watch to track their general health data. And this would also lead to two different kind of personas, which we have to address inside our new app, which we are hosting, hopefully in a month. And this will be something we have to look for when we go to personalization. You have the pros, and you have the general fitness consumers, for example, which are not that in detail, but they need guidance as well, and maybe a pro wants guidance as well.
Maybe, Natalie, I see William or Bill, actually, because I know him as I was in a panel with him last time, saying way too many to track. So at FitTech, we have Garmin, Samsung, Fitbit, Polar, God knows how many. This comes back to what we said earlier on the personalization piece. I'm not interested how many different we have. Mm-hmm. I'm just interested, who are you, Natalie? What kind, do you have a wearable, yes or no? Same for Chrissy. So now I can, back, for example, to what we said earlier on retention, I need to make sure that I connect these people one-on-one. I can't do that very generic because now it's no longer personalization, customization. It's again, one size fits all. And in order to improve retention, mm-hmm. I need to know everything about the member. And that's where you use data. And that can be a Garmin watch, it can be no watch, whatever, but I need to know it on a personal basis.
So what I hear you saying, Frank, is not that important which kind of wearable you use, but way more important what kind of goals you have with these wearables. And Chrissy, this is also part of the discussion that we had before the webinar, that you guys have different kinds of products for different kinds of audiences with different goals. So it's not enough to say it's Garmin. It's way important to say what kind of goals you're looking for, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got everything from our kind of high-end triathlete watches, and if you looked at some of the data from some of the kind of big marathons out there, I think we've got about 90% of our users, kind of pro athletes, will be wearing a Garmin. So at the high end, we kind of got full market share. And then we go everything down to people that actually they just want to track their steps. They don't want to track anything else. They just want to track their steps. So I think the only kind of thing you've got to consider when you are using a kind of device is how accurate the data is. Obviously, if you're not getting good, especially if you're starting to look at heart rate, if you're not getting good heart rate data and heart rate information, then what they're kind of coming out of it is going to be rubbish. So I think you've got to make sure that you've got the right data and kind of have that validated data before you can make kind of really solid decisions off that data.
Yeah. And this is where I would like to kind of move forward to the future revenue streams, because what we've talked about so far is, okay, member retention, definitely, being able to better service the members, definitely, being able to cross-sell different courses, different brands, if you have different brands, to offer upselling with personal training based on the data. If we look to the future, what do you think are the data-driven revenues that will emerge in the next years? I know future is always difficult to predict, so just make a guess.
Yeah. As you're saying, this is really a tough question, as we haven't yet to identify the unidentified, correct? I believe there is an opportunity here. We know that within the four walls, that will not be the only solution. So we want to have people getting more active more often. And that can be indoors, outdoors, at home, wherever. And I think the most important piece is how do you, and Chrissy mentioned it earlier, the key word here is how do you create a community? Within this community, you can only create a community if there's common interest. And so you need to constantly load that community to keep connected with that community and keep the people engaged in that community. And I think that is the big opportunity for our industry. But you need data for that to make sure that you understand how do you keep that whole community connected. Because otherwise, and I'm pretty certain that Garmin does that all the time, constantly loading content, personalized content to the target audience, as Chrissy explained. An athlete is very different than somebody who's just counting steps who wants to lose maybe 3 kilos. So loading that content, personalized, and keeping people connected in that community.
And I think data is great, and data can give you so much insight, but I think, and it's not just necessarily a gym environment, but it's a business thing. It's finding opportunities. So, okay, it might not give you extra revenue streams, but it will strengthen your business for the future. So if you can find opportunities by looking at your data, whether, like, for example, women don't tend to upgrade to the higher priced products than a guy does. So guys will more than happily generally spend 500-600 euros on a watch, but women might only spend 200. So that potentially opens up an opportunity. So you've got to then ask those questions as, why is a woman not upgrading? Is it because they don't have the disposable income, they can't justify it, the products aren't good enough looking? So you then are opening up opportunities to increase your revenue stream long term. So it's not just about saying this, there's not some magic answer of kind of going, this is going to open up this additional revenue stream, but that data opens up questions and opportunities, which if you then can justify and meet those opportunities, could increase your revenue over time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. And Philipp, I would like to know more. What do you guys plan to do with the future revenue streams? Just tell us all the secrets. Come on.
Not every secret, but what we are, of course, will focusing on is with the background of a better customer journey for our members. We, of course, try to connect with new B2B partners to provide, for example, additional information about healthy food, to provide maybe the option to get into, to try out a wearable, for example. So if I'm allowed to talk free, we will have the opportunity, for example, to present to some other partners, of course, some B2B partners. Hey, we have 230,000 members here, which are interested in the following points. Would you like to be connected to this community and present your product? This will be good for them. This will be, of course, good for us. And normally there's a benefit for our members. And if we can personalize and show them the benefit, they will also accept this kind of marketing move, for example. So,
this is a super important point. So if I understand you correctly, you guys do have a good understanding of what kind of members you have and how you can segment them. And that offers you kind of the opportunity to move these members to new potential marketing streams or marketing partnerships, right? Because there's a segment which is highly interested in health and nutrition and for the purpose of losing weight, whatever. And in that case, you can connect them to other products out there and have kind of a rev share model, or how would that work exactly?
Yeah, it could be a really basic form. It could be that I talk to Garmin, for example, and say, well, I have 100,000 customers which are using smart wearables. Would you like to do a challenge with them on our app platform? And then promote this challenge with maybe the first 10 persons get something, or we get some more insights. And then this could be, it hasn't to be in revenue stream, but it could be a marketing strategy, for example. And of course, we will do that with information about healthy food, healthy lifestyle, maybe some lifestyle products as well, like clothing, for example. And we are trying to present the fitness lifestyle to our customers, not bring them only a product which they can use for a specific reason.
Natalie, back to what you asked on the future.
Yeah.
I think there is a huge pendulum where LifeFit is on the all right side, and then there is, call it 95 of the operators on the left side. And to Chrissy's point, using data to optimize your business model in regards to attracting new members, retaining members, becoming more efficient. And we can talk hours on how do you become more efficient if you look at your P&L on cost to attract members, cost to retain members, and all these things. And so there is still so much to gain if operators would just start using the data and the right data to make better business decisions. I believe that is already, that would be a big step forward to further professionalize our industry. Now, as I said at the beginning, a big compliment to Martin hiring Philipp, because there's not that many operators who have somebody's really focusing on business intelligence. What kind of data do we have, and how can we use that data to further improve, as Chrissy said, my business model and my profit in the end of the day, because profit you can use again to innovate and invest in new things.
So does it mean that every operator needs to hire a business intelligence specialist?
I would say some bigger operators would have the financial bandwidth to hire a person like Philipp, but there are also single sites that could use external data analysts. In that panel that we had last year or last week or 2 weeks ago, Bill was there. And Bill is a person who has a company who you can hire to analyze your data and set up, okay, how should you set up your technology platform to get the right data that you want? So It could be in-house, but it could also be outsourcing.
Mm-hmm. Maybe one of the last questions, we've talked about that a little bit, but if I get started at a gym and I'm just, a gym that is running a small operation and just wants to understand better what kind of data they have, what would be the most important KPIs for a gym business that you would recommend everybody to look at?
Philipp, we need to look at you. You're the operator here.
I would say you have to keep track of the contract mix in combination with your infrequent users, because then you know pretty much if you have, for example, a contract on monthly basis, so where the customer is really free, and he's becoming an infrequent user, for example, maybe the last 7 days, maybe the last 14 days, he's on holidays, for example, or he's simply not interested anymore in your product, and then you're doing something wrong with your customer journey because you can't integrate the customer to stay. So, for example, the Netflix model, it works on a monthly basis because you get always the content you looking for most of the time, and then you also get additional content. If you can't provide, if you want to provide that, for example, as a gym owner, then you have to, of course, somehow redevelop your customer journey, because then you you stay attractive to your customer.
If you would ask me, Natalie, to pick one, I would say NPS, Net Promoter Score. Just to pick one, because I do believe that is a leading indicator. And then if your Net Promoter Score is saying, oh, we have too many persons below 9, because you need to have a 9 and 10 to create these raving fans. Anything, if you have too much people sitting in 1 to 8, you're in deep shit, dude. So you really then need to dive into more details and thinking, okay, how can I improve that net promoter score, because if people are not scoring 9 or 10, I don't have my raving fans. And we know that, for example, in a club model, a lot of the new members come in through word of mouth. So you need to have high net promoter scores, because that will help you on attracting new members and retaining members.
Mm-hmm.
And
Chrissy,
for the members to spend more.
Say it again?
But
And
then
for
we
the
should.
members to spend more.
Sorry.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
But then we should add, you also have to provide, of course, if you're only a one gym owner, you also have to do the surveys behind the net promoter score, which are mostly not integrated in your membership management software, for example.
That's another problem. But Chrissy, what would be your take on the most important data point if you would like to pick one?
I think it's different. It's obviously, so we're a manufacturer, so we're not a gym, kind of in a gym environment. So yes, we work within gym environments, but we're kind of a manufacturer. So for us, I think it's looking at what's important to the customer. If we're looking at a new product or going and kind of developing a product in a certain area, it's just going back to what's important to that customer, looking at what our it's back to the basics. It's what's important to the customer, what's the business and what are our competitors doing, and what can we do better, and going back to our core business model of what we're there for, and kind of and it's not normally complicated. Finding the right answer is complicated, but actually it's always just going back to the basics and back to where you started from.
Yeah. So we're speaking about retention, we're speaking about net promoter score, we're speaking about people who are possibly about to quit the membership, that we can, do something against that in the right or timely. And yeah, we're kind of running out of time, and I think we just have one last question. If I were to pick one. Yeah, okay, let's ask the last question. The question comes from Maurizio as well, and this one is: are companies like Gympass considered a future revenue stream as well for gyms? And where does this play with data? How does this play with data?
I would say there is always room for aggregators. It's a new business model. I know club operators that are listening in. Some of them are saying, "Whoa, that's not the right model." But it's the same conversation that we had 10 years ago when budget operators came in saying this is not sustainable. So I do believe there is a place, like there is a place for Airbnb and Uber. So there is a place for aggregators. I think the most important piece is, how do you grow the pie? Because right now, maybe on a global scale, 7 to 8% of the people are members of a gym. So there is still 90% of the members to gain. And that can be through companies like Garmin, where people start to walk outside and just do steps. That can be through people having a Gympass membership so they can shop in the different options to get different experiences. It can be joining a LifeFit chain that has already different brands with it. So there's multiple options there.
So thank you, Frank. Thank you guys so much. So what we learned today is data is a never-ending story, basically. You got to start as soon as possible, and you're never finished with that. Philipp is laughing. He knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. Thanks, you guys, for listening in. It was a great discussion. Hope to see you again soon. And if you have any questions, just connect to us on LinkedIn. Ask questions. Let's keep the ball rolling.
Okay. Ciao.
Thank you. Ciao.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.